Okay guys, how are you doing? Today we are going to talk about the trajectory of the arrow and the light arrow versus the heavy arrow. And when folks are talking about the light arrow, folks are often saying that the light arrows delivers the flattest trajectory all the way out to the target. And sure it does. It's actually right. Especially if you're using some kind of a sight system. If you have a sight pin on your bow, or if you're shooting with a fixed crawl, or maybe you are a string walker. If you have seen the video, the push, you can see the explanation about the trajectory curve being laid down. And then you can benefit from the light arrow if you're a target shooter. But if you're shooting like me, and I'll not say that I'm pure instinctive shot, because I'm not. I'm more like a instinctive gap shooter, because I'm focusing on the target, and then I have the arrow in the blurry vision below the target. Okay. When I'm shooting the light arrow, the first I'm gonna do when I make a set of arrows is to find out where the point on distance is. And I've talked about this before. And for example, if we are taking this arrow weighs 495 grain. And the point on distance with this arrow and this bow right here is 40 meters. And that's about 43 yards, 44 yards or something like that. 40 meters point on distance. That means that in the middle, at 20 meters, this arrow is at its highest level on the arch, okay? So, if I'm shooting this arrow, which is my hunting arrow now, this arrow weighs 670 grain, okay? And the point on distance with this arrow is 30 meters. So this arrow is at its highest at about 15 meters. So now I'm gonna try to make this experiment for you. Now we're gonna take the 495 grain arrow, and we are gonna shoot it. If you can see the deer in the background, and you can see the target below the deer, there is a brown spot. And I'm gonna put the tip of the arrow in the low end of this brown spot with this arrow. And then I'm gonna release.
Honey, I'm home.
Where did we came from? The brown target down there. I'm gonna put the tip of the arrow in the lower end of the brown target, and then I'm gonna release. And afterwards, we are going to take the heavy arrow, and we're going to do exactly the same. The distance here is 20 meters, okay? I need to turn the cap around. Please get over here so we can see you. Thanks. Thanks. You ready, folks? Okay. So now we are going to take the 670 grain arrow, and we are going to do exactly the same. So, when I'm shooting a 3D shoot, it's easier for me to hit a fox or maybe a rabbit or a duck at 20 meters with the heavy arrow than it is for me with the light arrow. And now we are going to the target, and then I'm gonna tell you why. Okay. Check this out. If we are gonna measure, I was going to put the tip of my arrow right here. Okay. So the first arrow is the light arrow. So now we are gonna measuring the distance from the tip of the arrow. That's 70 centimeters. Okay. And the distance, the gap from the tip of the arrow to the heavy arrow is 45 centimeters. Okay. So this arrow is raising way more. So if I'm gonna at 20 meters, I'm gonna shoot this target right here, and I'm instinctive gap shooter. I'm gonna aim. With this arrow, I need to aim the tip of the arrow 5 meters along the grass. Okay. And if I'm gonna, with this arrow, I only need a gap at 45 centimeters. Okay. So that's why it's easier for me to hit a duck with a heavy arrow than it is with a light arrow. So I hope you understand what I mean, and I hope you can use this. And maybe you'll ask, what about 15 meters? Because before we were standing at 20 meters. What about 15 meters? It's exactly the same, I guarantee you. So now we are going to do it on 15 meters too. And when we are talking about hunting distances, now we are in a distance where it's normal to hunt. So it's important to have the smallest gap we can get. And as I'm not gonna crawl down the string and I'm shooting like this, then it's beneficial for me with as heavy an arrow as possible. Okay. So now we're going to take the heavy arrow. It's exactly the same, I guarantee you. As we can see, okay, at 15 meters, it is still around 45 with the heavy arrow. Maybe it's 50 centimeters. It's about 50 centimeters with the heavy arrow, okay, at 15 meters. But with the light arrow, it's 62 centimeters. So even at 15 meters, the light arrow is getting higher than the heavy arrow. And when we are shooting at the deer, often we are going to shoot too high. So this is worth to think about, I guarantee you. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye.